Welcome to another podcast on the Fruitful Field consultation process. The consultation started on the 17th of October, runs through to Christmas, ending on the 23rd of December. So you can get your consultation responses to us via methodist.org.uk/Fruitful Field. Now, these podcasts are designed to address some of the questions we've been getting in already. And we've been getting a lot of questions, so we're doing our best. And today we're going to be looking at the church's existing structures and how this consultation response, the proposals outlined in the consultation document will affect those and what it's saying about what currently exists. So I'm very, very pleased to be joined by Mark Hammond, who's a member of the Ministries Committee, also a Methodist presbyter. And if you haven't read the Fruitful Field consultation document and you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, please, please, please go to that web address, methodist.org.uk, read the consultation document /Fruitful Field, methodist.org.uk /Fruitful Field. Read the consultation document, check it out there, and this will make a whole lot more sense, won't it, Mark?
It will.
Because it's quite a long document and there's a lot of stuff in here. Now, we've got in front of us a map of the Methodist Church in Great Britain, effectively, the area we cover, and mapped out on it are 21 Methodist-sponsored institutions. Now, that might be training institutions, it might be courses we're a part of, it might be training partnerships with other churches. There's quite a lot there, and understandably lots of people have very strong links with these institutions. Either they've been trained there, their family members were involved there, maybe they've worked there, and they'll be looking at the proposals outlined in the Fruitful Field document and going, but this just devalues everything that we already have, because the document is essentially saying we need a totally new system. We need a single training hub with a network, a training network to accompany it. And people might look at that and go, well, actually, what's wrong with what we've got? How would you respond to that?
The reality is that many of us on the Ministries Committee were trained, are products of these institutions, these 21 institutions. And those of us who have been formed and are products of these institutions love them. There's an emotional attachment. And we're not saying as a committee that what these institutions are delivering is of no value. We're actually saying the opposite. There's some brilliant work, relevant work, needed work going on in each of these places. But the fact that there are 21 of them is almost an accident of history, that they've evolved in an uncoordinated way to be what we are now, and the status quo is no longer viable. Great as it is, it actually can't continue as it is, and part of the reason for that has been mentioned in other podcasts and is set out in the document, which is financial constraints are coming our way in the future. And part of it is actually us saying as a committee that our training institutions have a job to do, and that is to equip the Methodist people for the ministry of the whole people of God. Since the status quo can't continue as it is, how can we bring the riches, the charisms, the wonderful things that are in existence at the moment in these 21 institutions, and reshape the way we organise ourselves to deliver those same things, but in a more effective and sustainable way?
And as a member of the Ministries Committee, as you said, who has links to maybe some of these institutions, were you and your colleagues on the committee not kind of worried that we might lose some really important things if we lose these institutions in whatever way, if we withdraw funding or whatever?
Yeah.
What were you concerned that we might lose, and how do you deal with that huge weight of responsibility?
I mean, the Ministries Committee is made of real human beings. I mean, and when you have an emotional attachment to the way things are, facing change is hard, and we feel that, and we're sensitive to that. But the hard realities are actually very hard, and change cannot be escaped. we could say, well, let's hold off change, but change would be forced upon us in a way in which we have no control then.
So is there a sense in which we've got the financial impetus is we need to change because the money will effectively run out in terms of what we've already got, won't become sustainable anymore very quickly, but actually then using that situation to say, okay, well, let's do something very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And where there is excellence in the current institutions, we want whatever takes their place to be excellent. We want excellence in terms of delivery, excellence in terms of people, excellence in terms of the pathways, what we're actually teaching and training people in. And we're wanting excellence to actually run from what we've called a hub all the way out.
And that will be a single physical place, some kind of training institution.
That is what we have posited in this document, that actually, as the Ministries Committee discussed these things, as we looked at the facts, as we prayed about it, we reached a mind that actually what we would like to suggest in this document to the Methodist people in consultation is this is what we think the Spirit of God is saying to us about the way in which we reorganise ourselves. What do you think? And, you know, as others have said, and as I've said in the past already, this is a genuine consultation. This is where we've got to. We're saying to the Methodist people, how do you feel about this? You pray about it. What do you think God is saying in this respect? Have we got this right?
And it is a huge change that's outlined in this document. We're not kind of saying, oh, well, maybe we'll lose a bit here and we'll kind of reshape that and we'll do this over here. It's actually comprehensive, massive change to the way we do our training. How, I mean, and that will affect the whole church. That'll affect everyone who's involved in training institutions, everyone who might be thinking about candidating in the future, everyone who might be thinking they need training in a particular area of ministry, whether that's ordained or lay. How do you kind of justify putting the church through such a huge upheaval? Because there's no way it's going to be a kind of simple, right, you know, we'll make this decision in the summer of 2012 and 2013 we'll have our new hub up and running, everything will be set. It's going to be massive, isn't it?
Yeah, change is hard and it has implications for those most closely involved with it. I think the reality is, though, that as I said earlier, the change, if we don't manage it ourselves, if we don't discern a fruitful way of doing this, change will be forced upon us in an ad hoc, unorganised and probably more painful and repetitively painful way. And no one wants that. Ultimately, what the Ministries Committee is charged to do really is to help, to advise the Methodist Conference, the Methodist people, on a way forward that will enable us to be in future what we are called to be in future, as well as it now, which is a discipleship movement shaped for mission. And all those people you mention who will receive training, as well as many others who, you know, we could go on forever talking about all those people who we want to see trained and used in ministry at a local level, at a circuit level, at a district level, at a connectional. All those people will be impacted by this, but in a positive way, because we're going to be planning for the future, a sustained training network that will last not just for 5 years, but for the coming decades.
Well, I was going to ask you about viability. Excuse me, because how much did you take into account the issues of viability when producing this new vision? Because we know that the system we have is not viable long term. How do we build long term viability for the proposed new system?
the consultation document that you have does not have the business case worked out. And part of the reason for that is that, we're open as a committee in this consultation to what the Methodist people have to say. It's at the next stage in preparation for a report going to, and recommendations going to conference, that we're going to have to do those things. We're going to have to, punch the numbers out and make sure that what we present to conference is sustainable, is workable, is manageable. It would be pointless presenting the conference with anything less than that.
And just before we finish, I just want to ask you, because you were explaining to me before we started the camera rolling, before we switched on the MP3 recorder and put our silly headsets on. In fact, I must apologise. People watching the video, we promised clip mics. We couldn't make the technology work this time around. We will endeavour to get clip mics sorted for the future, but in the meantime, we look like DJs. Anyway, before we switched all the kit on, you were telling me about why this really, really excites you, and I think that's worth exploring. Why would you bother going to these committee meetings? Why would you get involved with this? I know Methodists love committees. It's a wonderful thing that is one of the Methodist charisms, perhaps. But why would you stick around for this process, especially facing such difficult decisions?
I mean, I'm on this committee, but at heart, I'm a local minister, excited about what God wants to do with Methodism, with the Methodist people, and it's my privilege to lead a church that has made difficult decisions, has faced difficult challenges, and it's amazing to watch the renewal that can happen to a church when that's happening. So, I'm excited that God is still calling people to become followers of Jesus Christ through the Methodist Church, and he is calling them to join in his mission to a world that needs it desperately. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, and that's what I believe drives the committee to want to face up to the difficult challenges ahead, that we actually reshape Methodism to be what it's called to be. So that we have an ever greater impact for the kingdom of God, not just in our training institutions, but actually throughout the land.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Mark, for your time. And if you're listening or watching, you want to check out the other podcasts, you will find them at methodist.org.uk/Fruitful Field. You can also find there, more importantly, the consultation document that we've been talking about, and they can contribute to the consultation. Please make sure you do it before the 23rd of December, or the end of the day on the 23rd of December, because that's when the consultation ends. And speak to you next time. Thank you very much, Mark.